A ruthless drug dealer kidnapped an 8-year-old girl, but he had no idea her father was the president of the Steel Demons Motorcycle Club. Everything changed at 3:47 p.m. when David Reaper Stone got the call that shattered his world. On the other end, his ex-wife Rachel was screaming, terrified. "Lily never came home from school," she cried. "The bus driver says she got off at our stop, but she never made it to the house." In that instant, David's blood ran cold. Their suburban neighborhood was less than 300 feet from the bus stop to Rachel's front door. Now an 8-year-old girl had vanished in broad daylight. David wasted no time warning his brothers. In a matter of minutes, 40 steel demons were roaring toward Rachel's home, screaming through traffic as David broke every road law imaginable to get there. Then came the first chilling clue. Lily's backpack lay abandoned in the bushes, and her stuffed animal, Mr. Buttons, was gone. But Mr. Buttons was more than just a toy. It was the bear David had given her, with the tracker sewn inside. "She is moving," Snake muttered, eyes fixed on the tracking app. "North on Highway 9, about 40 miles out." David's jaw tightened. He knew that territory. It belonged to Carlos El Lobo Mendez, a cartel lieutenant, who'd been forcing drugs through the county. The same man who tried to use David's bike shop for smuggling, and the same man David had refused. "This is payback," Tank growled. "He took Lily because you told him no." David dialed Carlos directly. The dealer answered immediately, laughing. "Lo something, Reaper? If you touch her," David said coldly, "I will burn your entire world to the ground." Carlos didn't bat an eyelid. "You threaten my business, I threaten your family. Bring me $100,000 and sign your shop over, or little Lily disappears forever." "I'll bring your money," David lied. "Where?" "The old warehouse on Miller Road. Come alone, or she dies." When the call was over, David turned to his brothers. "No one hurts my little girl," he said. The teddy bear signal led them to a second location, an abandoned building 20 meters from the warehouse. Carlos had staged the meeting as a trap. "He's got at least 15 men inside," Diesel reported. "Heavy weapons, full guard." "I don't care if he has 50, said David. "We're getting her back." But they couldn't go in blind. Carlos had connections everywhere, including corrupt cops on his payroll. Then, something unexpected happened. A car pulled up to the clubhouse. Detective Tom Miller. Every gun in the room snapped up toward him. "Wait!" he shouted. "I'm not here as a cop." He let the badge fall to the ground. "Carlos killed my partner last year, made it look like suicide. I am here as a father who knows what it is like to lose everything to that monster." Tank narrowed his eyes. "Why should we trust you?" Miller reached inside his jacket and pulled out photos of children. "Because Carlos isn't holding just one kid. He has got 14 others trapped in that building. He is starting a trafficking ring." The room erupted in rage. This was no longer just about Lily. It was about dozens of innocent children. "I've been building a case for 2 years, Miller continued, his voice breaking. "But his lawyers always get him out. The system won't stop him." David stared at the detective. "Then we stop him our way." The rescue plan, the strategy was simple and brutal. Step 1. Get Carlos to believe David was coming in alone. David rode directly to the warehouse while his brothers circled around to the real location where Lily was being held. Inside the warehouse stood Carlos smugly with 20 armed men. "Where's my money?" Carlos demanded. "Where's my daughter?" David shot back. "Safe for now," Carlos smirked. "But you came alone like a fool." David's lips curled into a grin. "Did I?" Then suddenly, the roar of engines boomed through the air. Not 40 bikers, not 100, but 200 riders from motorcycle clubs across 3 states. Each and every club that got the word about missing kids. Carlos went white. "You brought an army to a business negotiation." "This stopped being business," David said. "You took my daughter, and you took other people's daughters." "You can't prove anything," Carlos shouted. "We don't need to prove it," David replied. "We just need to know." Meanwhile, the Steel Demon strike team had reached the building where Lily was hidden. They had entered that building and found something that made every biker freeze. 14 children tied up in a small room between the ages of 6 and 12. Some had been missing for weeks. Lily sat in the corner, clutching Mr. Buttons with shaking hands, trying to be brave. "Daddy's friends are here," Tank said softly to her. "You're safe now." But it wasn't over yet. 30 more cartel soldiers were coming to both locations at full speed. The bikers prepared for a fight to protect those children with everything they had. The subsequent fight was quick and decisive. 200 bikers against 50 cartel members. The cartel never had much of a chance. Carlos attempted to flee, but David caught him in the parking lot. Carlos pleaded for mercy, offering millions. But David wasn't interested in any deal. He dragged Carlos into an empty warehouse for a private confrontation. "You took my daughter," David said quietly. "You put her in a cage." "She's alive, I didn't hurt her," insisted Carlos. "You were going to sell her." David replied. Carlos said nothing. When David finally left him outside, Carlos was still breathing, but he was thoroughly devastated. Broken, both body and mind, in a manner that would remain with him all his life. Call 911, David instructed Tank. Tell them we found the kidnapper. When the police and detectives arrived, they found 15 children who were safe, 30 cartel soldiers tied up, and mountains of evidence, drugs, weapons, documents, exposing an entire trafficking network. Carlos Mendez confessed to every crime he had ever committed, even ones that the authorities hadn't known about. He begged to be taken into custody. Detective Miller approached David quietly. What did you do to him? I showed him what fathers do to men who hurt children, David replied. Carlos received life without parole. The cartel abandoned him, and he quickly became a target inside prison. He survived, but life became a punishment he couldn't avoid. Lily physically healed, but the nightmares lasted for months. Each night, for quite a while, members of the Steel Demons rotated in standing guard outside Rachel's house until Lily finally slept peacefully again. The other 14 children were returned to their families, and motorcycle clubs from across the region adopted each family to ensure they stayed safe. One boy had no family left, as Carlos had taken them from him, so the Steel Demons raised him as their own. Detective Miller resigned after seeing how badly the system had failed those children. He became a private investigator, helping families find missing kids. 3 months later, another dealer tried to move into Carlos's territory. He found his stash destroyed, his money gone, and a message painted on his wall. We're watching. Touch a child and die. He left town immediately. They tore down the warehouse where the kids had been kept, and, in its place, built a playground so kids could have a place of joy instead of fear. The tracker and panic button still remain inside, but Lily still carries Mr. Buttons with her everywhere. Just in case, Rachel asked. Not just in case, David said. Never again. From that day forward, the Steel Demons went from being a motorcycle club to protectors of the whole community. Any missing child, any sign of abuse, any dealer targeting kids, they handled it. Sometimes within the law, sometimes outside it, but always with justice. Carlos Mendez is still alive, but only in a technical sense. Paralyzed, isolated, and constantly monitored, he celebrates every anniversary of Lily's kidnapping, with a photo showing her happily growing up with 200 leather-clad guardians watching her every move. The message is always the same. She survived. You won't. And afterwards, prison guards often find him in tears, pleading for an end that never comes. David never told the real specifics of what occurred in that warehouse. But when fathers who've lost children ask him quietly, he gives the same answer every time. I made sure he could never hurt another child, and that every day of his life reminds him why. The bikers' assault against the cartel was investigated by the FBI. The official decision was that it was self-defense. Several agents shook the bikers' hands unofficially. You saved 14 kids, one agent said. That is what matters. Lily is 13 now. She doesn't remember much from that day, which is a blessing. But she knows she is protected. In the last 5 years, 87 children have been rescued by the bikers. Not every story can have a perfect ending, but every story does end with justice. Carlos once thought himself untouchable, flush with money, soldiers, and power. But nothing makes you untouchable when you take a biker's daughter. Nothing. If you love powerful, real-life kindness stories like this, hit like right now, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so that you never miss the next story.